This easy, this whole, normally I got to ask the question, Tim, you know this as a player, new guys come in, you go to a new club. It takes time to gel. You got a new coach. I know he's on the staff. Kawhi comes in. How's it all going to fit? DeMar's gone. Do they know it's supposed to take some time? I mean, outside of a bump or two, this team's been ridiculous. And against Philly, we're talking now for Kawhi 12-0. I mean, they've been dominating Philadelphia as of late.
Well, it's happened in beginning of training camp. This didn't happen, February or March or even in December.
Right.
This happened right before training camp, and the coach, they knew who the coach was. They knew Kyrie was coming in, Kawhi was coming in and be with the team. And I think the coach really looked at film and said, how are we going to implement Kawhi in this offense? Which he found out that, I give him more ISOs, I give him more freelance roles here with us than he did with San Antonio Spurs, because with San Antonio, he didn't have the freedom that he's having right now. Right now, he has a lot of freedom. They giving him the ball. They letting him create. They letting him take the ball off an ISO, and they letting him. And he's the focal point of the offense, which is good. And they playing superb defense. Like they never did last year. With him, Ben Simmons, they got him with 11 turnovers first game. They played him. Now he got 7 turnovers. That's 18 turnovers in 2 games for Ben Simmons. So, he's bringing a defensive mind to that team.
And Danny Green has helped with that, too. Gets probably underrated as part of it. Smitty, I want to talk individually about Kawhi because we sat here before the season and people were saying, well, is Kyrie the best player in the East, or is it Giannis, or is it Embiid? It was like Kawhi went off the reservation and, the Raptors got a good player. No, this isn't a good player. We're talking about top handful of players in the league. He's done a good job reminding us that, right? Are you surprised how early he's looked this good and no ring rust, if you will, after last year being out?
I am surprised. One, because of the injury he had. You never knew how he was going to come back. Second, you change the scenery. Obviously, Kyle Lowry, DeMarozan, they were close. You didn't know how that matchup would work. And then a new coach in Nick Nurse, who's taken over, even though he's assistant. So it's a new coach for Kawhi as well. But what they've done is simplify the offense at the beginning. He runs some pick and roll, and Kyle Lowry's been fantastic because he's not holding the basketball as much. He's throwing ahead to Kawhi, letting him attack. And I think Pascal Siakam in that lineup, he runs, he takes people, so the floor is much more space between when they had Serge and Jonas Valanciunas. This is a perfect matchup for Kawhi.
Going back to something that you talked about before, we were talking about Jerebko and other guys' minutes. Look, Dwayne Casey's going to be felt here for a long time for a number of reasons and should be. But all of that, hey, look, we're going to play this big rotation. Well, guess what? Those guys, they were very different coming into this year. You mentioned Siakam. All that experience, that word we never pay enough attention to, Smitty, they got last year. You're seeing that on the floor from this group now.
When you're a young guy, and Tim, you know this, you get a chance to play in the playoffs and high-intensity games. That gives you experience and confidence like you've been in the league 3 years. And I think OG Anunoby has played off from that. I think Fred VanVleet and obviously Pascal Siakam, those 3 guys that go along with Wright, those 4 guys have come in, and they're not scared because they know they get playing time, and they've played against the best of the best during the playoffs.
When you look at the Raptors and you look at the East, you think about Philly. Is this good? Kind of, I always say, like the litmus test. You want to see, right? To be the man, you got to beat the man, like Ric Flair once said. When you sit there and if you're Philly, I know it's tough continuously losing against Toronto. How do you take that and make it a learning experience, Tim? If you're sitting there, you're one of the big 3 or any of the Sixers or their coach, Brett Brown.
Well, if I was the Sixers, I'd be looking at my bench. My bench is kind of weak right now. I need to get my bench stronger to keep up with Toronto's bench. That's what really killed them. Toronto's bench come in and Valanciunas gets 26 points. That's big for them. Him coming off the bench, he's playing against second unit people, and he's a starter, and he's getting 26 points off the bench. That's helped out Toronto. But I'm looking at my team now. I'm saying, what can I do as a Philly coach, as Philly GMs, and say, I need to get better on the bench. I need to get my bench play together and bench play a little bit better because you got 6 coming from Shumpert and McConnell and Muscala. I need more off the bench to compete.
Yeah, I was saying this, Tim, and I was here the day after we saw the trade, and you get Jimmy Butler, and that's great. people, and you got to give Covington and Saric, I get it, but people downplayed what they did, and they don't understand the importance, like you guys do, of glue guys and role players. And I joked, it's like the old hair gel depth. They went from depth to depth because they didn't have anybody else when you look at that second unit. If they're going to fix it last year, maybe a little bit of what you follow, right? Bellinelli and Ilyasova. Right. Let's not forget how important those moves were late.
So you hit it right on the head. Bellinelli and those guys are gone, right? And then now you trade 2 for 1. I think it was 3 for 1.
Yeah.
Now you lose Markelle Fultz. So they've lost a lot of bodies, and they have to find a way, just like Tim said, to add somebody else to this lineup. You might have to go to the G League and pull up a guy that can score and play two-way. They have a great starting five, and after that, it drops off. But also for them is those stars are going to have to buckle down. It seems like they've had trouble playing against Toronto in Toronto, and they also have had trouble with the Boston Celtics. Those are the two teams that you'll probably be fighting for at the end of the year. They got to find a way to go in and get wins.
All right, now I don't want to be part of the media that apparently is maybe falling in love or fell in love with LeBron, but I am going to show you a highlight, so be prepared. Let's look at what LeBron is doing currently.